Alright, welcome back to Scouching's 2025 NHL Draft Recap Series, and today we are looking at the Washington Capitals. Now, the Capitals have been one of the most fascinating teams to watch draft over the years. They've drafted a lot of really high upside players, some intriguing storylines, some really strange picks along the way, but somehow through it all, the NHL team itself has found a really intriguing way to be very successful. And I mean, in this year's draft class, I think they could also come away with some very interesting players as well. Starting things off, they drafted a player that I had in my top 10 in Lynon Lakov. I think he's got a huge amount of upside. Yes, he's a big, tall winger that doesn't really have enough of a physical game yet to really project to the NHL. Outside of that, he has pretty much everything else. And at 27th overall, I think that's a great spot to draft this guy. The skill level is insane for a tall player. He's got great resistance against pressure. If he widens his base and narrows his base, he's able to really resist play really well. He's got good patience on the puck. He doesn't really waste a whole lot of his opportunities, at least in the sample that I have. And the numbers that I've tracked on him almost across the board are really good. So even if he does have some faults in his game, once those get shored up, I imagine the results will only continue to get better. It's also important to note that he produced on 45% of his team's goals when he was in the lineup this year. Nobody else in the first round achieved that number. Now, obviously, some players are defensemen and some players play in tougher leagues and all of that stuff, but even a Michael Misa was a little bit lower. Obviously, again, a different scenario, but it's still a pretty impressive metric, and it has a really good track record amongst high NHL draft picks in the past. I think Lakov could be a huge get for the Washington Capitals, especially considering it's 27th overall. So for me, really great pick. I think the world of this player, and I think with time and proper development, especially with a guy like Spencer Carberry running the show there, I have no doubt that this guy is going to be a really intriguing player to watch in the coming years. Moving to 40th overall, they drafted Milton Yastrin, and I've had a bit of a tough time with Yastrin this year. I think the ceiling with him is really high. I'm pretty certain of that. He is a really great, individually talented player, really great straight line speed, really great puck control at those speeds, really good playmaker as well, especially when he's more around the perimeter of the ice. It's just the rest of the picture is a little bit of an issue. His skating ability, while he is fast, is not particularly well-rounded right now. He can get left behind defensively a little bit. He was one of the lesser involved defensive transition players that I tracked this year, which for a center might be an area that might need improvement. And I think with Yastrin, there is a big ceiling, but a pretty low floor. Amongst all the players that I saw in the SHL this year, I thought he was one of the least comfortable looking ones at that level, and obviously that's a very difficult level of hockey to play, but there were some other players in this class that I think did not look out of place at that level at all, that were drafted 60 spots later than this, but that's nothing against Yastrin. The ceiling is there, the skill is there, the playmaking is there. It's just going to be a matter of building out that North American style of hockey to project better to the NHL, but good value and could be a really good player. I had him ranked in the top 40, so this makes sense to me. Then they drafted Maxim Schaefer at 96, and Schaefer's a really interesting one. He's one of the first players that I tracked this season because he was playing in the Dell for most of the year in Germany, and I think there's an interesting power forward here. The things that a guy like Anton Frondel brings to the game are kind of similar to the things that a Maxim Schaefer brings to the game. He's not as physical, he's not as strong, he's not as good a shooter, but that complementary energy winger who brings a lot of good physical presence at both ends of the ice and can get to the net and just keep the game relatively simple but very effective. Schaefer is one of those guys. I wouldn't have drafted him this high, but I see the appeal. He's got some size, he's got some real good solid strength on his feet, and there's a really interesting developmental pathway for him, especially considering the fact that he's been playing against men pretty much all season this year. At 155th, they drafted Jackson Crowder out of the United States Hockey League, and I remember watching Crowder with the Dallas Stars 16U team last summer and thinking he was a really intriguing prospect for this coming season with some good skill, really good size up the middle, and just a good two-way presence on the ice, but 16U AAA hockey is not the USHL, and when I watched Crowder with the Chicago Steel mostly this season, I didn't really see a guy that moved the needle a tremendous amount, especially considering the fact that he's a bigger guy. You'd expect him to play a little more physically. The skill level kind of faded into the background against that level of competition relative to what I expected. But there is, I think, the wiring to develop well. He's got some confidence, he's willing to play physically, but it's just going to be a matter of filling out, and I think more time and some development from here, and who knows what's possible. Again, you have the long trajectory of college hockey ahead of him, so that's a benefit as well. And I think with Crowder, there will be an intriguing player here at the end of the day, even if I'm not really sure there's NHL upside right now. The foundation is kind of there, but I think it's a ways away before it's NHL ready. And at 180th overall, they drafted, I think, the last guy on my draft rankings this year in Aaron Dulkist of Brunus. I have really liked Aaron Dulkist this year. I'm not sure who else even had him ranked this season, but I will say that of all of the big, giant, heavy defensemen who really struggled to produce offense this year, Dulkist was one that I really, really liked and thought there was really intriguing potential. I think with the puck on his stick, he might have a really long way to go to become a dependable sort of defense-first, puck-moving defenseman. His shot isn't very threatening, but the skating ability and the physical presence of his game is really, really strong, and I think you leave him in Sweden for a while, he could become a really intriguing, physical, punishing defenseman who I just think could be a really entertaining pickup, especially for a 180th overall selection. I do think there's a long way to go, especially with trusting him at both ends of the ice in terms of moving the puck and not giving it away, because a lot of the games I saw, there were some real five-alarm situations that came off of his stick, but you can't fault the player for the foundation of talent that he's got and the physical presence that he wants to bring every shift. So, I mean, if you want a guy who's capable of erasing the player that does have the puck, and you want to work on what he does with the puck, I think you could have done a lot worse than Aaron Dulkist this year. And that's it for the Washington Capitals. For me, the rating that they're going to give, the explanation of which should be right below me, is a 1C. I really love what the Washington Capitals did here. Again, not all the players that I definitely would have really been looking at all of these slots, but the ones that they did go with, I think there could be intriguing upside here, especially with guys like Lakov and Yastrin, maybe Dulkist if things break really right. I think Schaefer could be a sneaky, nice pickup as a complementary forward. I think Crowder has the longest way to go, and he's the player that I probably would have looked past. It does widen their consistency here a little bit, but considering the 27th overall pick landed them Lynon Lakov, and 10 picks later they landed Milton Yastrin, those are two really intriguing pieces to build with, especially on a team that seems to be built around structure and selfless playmaking and sort of a group structure that seems to really work. I think those players could work in that system really well. And then there's Aaron Dulkist sort of solidifying the base and erasing guys along the boards once in a while, and you gotta like that too. So it's a really good draft class, especially considering where they were drafting, and I think they could get some really good stuff out of this. And with that, we're gonna call it. If you liked the video, definitely like and subscribe. If you really liked it, definitely consider a subscription over at Scouching.ca, where you can get access to all kinds of fun data tools and our Discord server and plenty of other fun stuff that you're just not gonna find anywhere else on the internet. So check that out at Scouching.ca. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.